Yo, a critical truth is that prejudice must be destroyed. But pay attention and make no assumptions, or you'll miss my point. Prejudice, by definition, is injury or damage stemming from false or deluded judgments. Yet newspapers, magazines, TV, and radio stations, schools, and universities lie constantly about the issue of prejudice and garble it into a twilight zone of insanity. Americans cry that American black men are victims of mass prejudice. So, let's compare them to another group, mentally handicapped white men. Most black men can find decent jobs, find wives, have children, have leisure time, and be social butterflies. But most mentally handicapped white men cannot find decent jobs, cannot find wives, cannot have children, and cannot have a decent social life. Some cannot have freedom as they're locked in psychiatric wards so the scammers who run such places can make money. On top of that, numerous American black men are successful politicians, rich and famous actors, or rich athletes who are idolized by half the country, while pornographic websites feature movies where a number of black men simultaneously engage in rough sex with a white woman. As if that wasn't enough, people dare say that black men are killed by police en masse because of prejudice. But if that was true, then black men would be the biggest racists since they kill far more whites than whites kill blacks. And it's illogical anyway, since many white police chiefs hire black officers, and it's extremely contradictory of the other facts just presented. The only true discrepancy is the wage gap. But blacks on average have much lower SAT scores, showing lower intelligence. And since the average man does not complain that he doesn't make as much money as doctors with higher intelligence, stop crying. Especially since there are white men with genius-level IQs working for minimum wage. If white liberals still insist that blacks are severely persecuted despite the contrary facts staring them right in the face, they're welcome to spend their money to send all blacks back to Africa permanently so they can escape horrible America. Adding insult to injustice, some deny that men with mental handicaps such as Asperger's or autism actually have handicaps, since they don't understand how you can be mentally handicapped while being simultaneously highly intelligent. So, for a rude awakening, see the 2007 movie Ben X. More info is found on Wikipedia's Ben X entry. Watch it until something kicks in. As a former Ben X, I say that those who fawn over American blacks who have no handicaps, sit down and shut up! As for healthy American women who cry about glass ceilings, you're welcome to relocate to the Middle East. Better yet, move to India, as nobody bothers to provide proper plumbing, sewer lines, or even rubber gloves. 1 million Indian women spend their entire lives hauling dripping baskets of human feces many miles each day. These women perpetually stink, most develop nasty boils, go blind, or suffer premature aging from the contagion. They're of the so-called untouchable class. But adding injustice to insult, many deny that an untouchable class still exists. Those in this predicament might not only want to tell disgruntled American women to sit down and shut up, but they might also want to shut them up by ramming some excrement down their throats. And American blacks and women, before thinking about yourselves, think about the 36 million people worldwide who are slaves right now. And our government's focus is welcoming every Mexican and South American into the U.S. instead of closing the border, as that is where the vast majority of hard drugs come from, which destroy our citizens' lives. Besides reproducing like rabbits, often outside of wedlock, other species are harmed, as Mexico is a hotbed of animal cruelty, with bullfighting, cockfighting, dogfighting, and other terrible abuses. The worst problem with these fake claims of unfair discrimination or everyday problems magnified because of selfishness or narcissism is that people become so mesmerized with these complaints that true victims of prejudice and unfairness are ignored. Consider that American blacks created an uproar simply because all 20 Academy Award nominations for acting went to white people, although all 20 whites were better actors and actresses. Many third world residents have never even had the opportunity to watch a movie, even one movie, let alone be featured in one. That's incredibly shameful, as those rich American blacks could instead donate millions to buy artificial limbs for those people in developing nations whose limbs were chopped off through conflicts with they use machetes or blown off by landmines in that problem. For Christian believers who might say that my viewpoint is ungodly, you're either quite ignorant of Scripture, pick and choose, or twist Scripture to suit yourself. Modern Christian communities have begun to serve the world instead of being a light to it. The modernist dogma of cultural Marxism, which consists of fake entitlements and imaginary prejudice, stops people from helping those who truly need sympathy and help. Therefore, that is ungodly. So end this nonsense and begin to help the deserving. Again, in the United States, that is mentally handicapped men, see Ben X, who are forever robbed of love, companionship, a healthy sexual outlet, decent jobs, decent housing, and sometimes freedom. It is people who suffer with horrible living conditions in impoverished regions. It is animals who are tortured, and several species of which are annihilated off the planet each year. It is not screaming American women, screaming American blacks, and liberal crackpots who are often predators who'd happily flush our country down the toilet. If you are in a position to help force such people to do the right thing, do that too. So, for religious people who buy into that garbage and bury their heads in the sand, aren't you afraid of God's wrath? For non-religious people, consider that society's agenda is neither scientific nor humanist. This make-believe anti-human brainwashing is de-evolutionary, pulling us to a worm level. Enough is enough! So stop the evil stupidity, wake up, oppose phony agendas, and tackle true prejudice.